Now, 6 days ago, the Court of Appeal finally rendered its highly anticipated judgment on the BBI bill that sought to amend more than 70 provisions in the 2010 Constitution. And just like the High Court, the appellate bench too consigned to the dustbin the entire BBI process, citing numerous misadventures by its proponents. Now, this was a watershed moment for the country's constitutional well-being, not just because the courts made the declarations they did, but more importantly because they had the courage to do it. And I will return to that courage question in a moment. But first, let us look at the political context here. You see, in 2017, the Supreme Court, on a bright September 1st morning, delivered a judgment that would go down in history as a first in Africa and only the fourth in the world then: the nullification of a presidential election. And within hours of the monumental decision, politicians, mainly from the Jubilee side, popped up from every corner to lampoon the David Maraga bench. They branded the judges with such unflattering monikers as wakoras or conmen and engineered all kinds of propaganda against them. On the other hand, politicians from the NASA side then were all praises for the Supreme Court, saying a new day had arrived in Kenya. Fast forward to this year in May, and the High Court delivered its groundbreaking judgment on the BBI, declaring the initiative null and void. And right on cue, some of the politicians who were in Jubilee in 2017 and who had lambasted the judiciary then were now the newfound defenders of this institution, praising the bench for a job well done and warning BBI proponents against, wait for it, mutilating the Constitution and intimidating the judges. On the other hand, the BBI proponents, some of who had praised the Supreme Court in 2017, were now lambasting the same judiciary, accusing them of seeking to usurp the powers of the people to change their constitution. Now, I bring up all this not because I have a problem with politicians expressing their opinions or flip-flopping on issues. That is well within their rights. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is the best proof that our judiciary was designed by the Constitution we passed in 2010 to outlive politics and to be blind to it. The judiciary was in fact meant to be the bulwark to protect us from the whims and bad manners of politicians. An institution for all to defend no matter where one stands politically. Because when all is said and done, when all the politicians are done shifting their allegiances, this may well be the last line of defense in our quest to live under the rule of law. This, in fact, must have been what Justice Kiage had in mind when he famously said in the recent BBI judgment that, quote, "The people of Kenya made it quite clear that they were not going to cede the Constitution to the vicissitudes and vagaries of political expediency," end of quote. Now I return to the question of courage. Yes, all the three courts, the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court, have now passed the courage test. The Supreme Court, by going against all odds and political logic to nullify a whole presidential election in spite of the possible consequences and paying a heavy price for it. The High Court, by shooting down an initiative fronted by two of the most powerful politicians in the country. And the Court of Appeal just last week effectively killing and burying that very initiative and throwing into disarray powerful political schemes and horse trading. That is what courage in public office looks like. This is the courage contemplated by the Constitution that gave birth to independent institutions. And this is the true spirit of the 2010 Constitution itself. A final reflection now on events of the last 1 week is on the power and the self-preserving nature of the Constitution we gave to ourselves as a people in 2010. It is this Constitution that gave the courts the power to interpret it for all of us. It is the same Constitution that binds everyone in Kenya to the pronouncements of the courts. And yes, it is the Constitution that the judges used to stop what they saw as an assault on the very Constitution. But in all instances, ladies and gentlemen, it has taken a few conscientious Kenyans to move the courts to act. a confirmation of the famous saying, albeit with disputed origins, that eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. That is my angle for the week.